Artist Alley with Michael Walsh, the urban lumberjack, the hipster log driver. You go Berlin down and down Whitewater, yeah?
All the time.
There you go. There you go. Michael, again, I feel like we've just talked. I feel like, it's every time I speak to you, it's almost like it was yesterday.
This is true. I think we may have spoken yesterday.
That makes sense. These days, you're kind of known as the horror guy.
Yes.
But at one time, there was a brief period where Marvel saw you as the comedy guy.
Yes.
So what was it like to go through that transition to suddenly be the comedy guy and then to finally become the horror guy?
Well, when I started at Marvel, I was drawing a book called The Secret Avengers, which was a hard sci-fi action absurdist thriller with some body horror elements. So I was trying to push my career in the direction of horror, especially after coming off of X-Files. And then as Secret Avengers went on in its 15-issue run, it evolved into kind of an absurdist comedy drama. And Marvel saw that I had a knack for hitting the punchline and doing a good job with the comedy and the acting of the characters, that after that they booked me on another comedy book, Hank Johnson, Agent of Hydra, and then another comedy book, The Worst X-Man Ever, and then another comedy book, Rocket Raccoon and Groot. So I kind of became a bit of the comedy guy at Marvel, which, was a great point in my life, and I was very happy for the work. And just to be any guy at Marvel, right? Like, if editors at Marvel think, I'm doing a book like this, we should get this artist, you're on the mouths of editors, which is never a bad thing, right? But at the same time, I wasn't drawing necessarily the books that I would want to read as a fan of the medium. So I really made a big push in my career after I did some work at Marvel and DC there to try and do some horror stuff. I launched a horror webcomic called The Sleep Stories, and then I launched my own creator-owned book called The Silver Coin, which I co-created with some of the most incredible talent in comics imaginable. And that book was very successful, and it did really well, and it kind of shaped my career over the last 5 years now. And I've been doing almost exclusively horror stuff, and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, no, of course, definitely. Silver Coin, like we've talked about it before. My co-host from Back Issue Club, Bat Patulino, referred to the Silver Coin as the villain of the year. The first year Silver Coin was out. There are more stories coming down the pipe, right?
Yes, Silver Coin will return. We've done 15 issues so far, and I've got 5 more in the pipeline. Issue 20's drawn, and I've got scripts for the other 4 issues of the series, and I've already started on issue 16. But the writers haven't been announced yet. I, of course, will be writing issue 20, the last issue of that arc, which I do with all the arcs of Silver Coin. But stay tuned for more information on Silver Coin as it comes up.
That's what I like about you. You get to collaborate with some amazing creators,
Yes.
and a lot of them your friends. So extremely talented people, and that's the great thing about the Silver Coin. And it's also been the great thing about a lot of the horror stuff you worked on, including, you've got an upcoming book,
Exquisite Corpses.
Exquisite Corpses. Yes. So you got an upcoming title, Exquisite Corpses. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Exquisite Corpses is a project created by James Tynan and myself. It's the story of 12 serial killers, some of the most bombastic, dynamic serial killers that you've seen in comics. And they get dropped into a small town for a battle royale. And the last serial killer standing wins the Exquisite Corpses games. The comic follows the civilians, which are the heart of the book, who from this small town, who are trying to figure out what the hell is going on and how they can survive the night.
Totally. And you've got a bunch of other creators collaborating on the book with you guys, too.
Yes, I do. So Exquisite Corpses began by James and me, but as we developed the project and had some ideas about integrating an actual game into the comic as like a peripheral thing that people can purchase who love the comic, we thought it would be fun to bring in a bunch of other creators to collaborate in the writing and the drawing process. And we got a writer's room going in Buffalo, and we locked everybody up for a weekend, and we released the killers into the room and tossed around ideas to all the writers, and we fleshed out all 13 issues of the first big arc of the story together with this group writer's room, and it was kind of one of the most rewarding and electric experiences that I've had in my comic career so far.
Yeah, that whole writer's room thing brings killing your darlings a whole new meaning, yeah.
It does. It was pretty funny when, one person, you could tell they were really in love with the character, and then the baton would essentially be passed to the next writer in line, and they would say, I'm going to kill this character in the most brutal way possible. And everyone in the room would go, ooh. And it was just, it was so fun and energetic, and it felt like we were playing a game, but at the same time, we were creating what is going to be like the horror comics event of the year, There's definitely an element of the most unassuming serial killers are going to be some of the scariest in the long run in the book, but it's fun. The fun thing about writing this in the way that we did was that in my head and in James's head, we had some ideas about when killers would die in the story. I think one specific killer, when I came into the writer's room at the summit, I had the idea that they would be the first killer to die in the whole story. So when I pitched the idea for the intro of the story and for the first issue and the second issue, we kind of kept developing it, and then that killer, over time, everyone in the room kind of fell in love with them, and that is one of the final killers standing. So that's kind of the fun of a writer's room, is that you kind of go in with these preconceived notions and ideas, and then by the time you leave the room, everything's been turned on its head for the better.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait for the games to begin this May from Image Comics. Very exciting. Of course, you got to work on a Universal Monster. You got to give your take on the Frankenstein story, and you did it in a way that really excited me. Yeah. The fact that you really focused on the parts that make the man.
Yeah, so I'm a huge Frankenstein fan. The original Mary Shelley novel is one of my favorite horror novels of all time, and I love the original film. So I wanted to find a way to do honor to the original film and the novel, but still integrate something new into the narrative choices that I was making when I was telling the story. So I decided to focus each issue thematically on one of the body parts of the monster and to show where that body part came from, but then also to weave together an arc of a new character that I've introduced, who is the son of the man that was used for the hands of the monster. So the first issue is called The Hands of a Father, and we follow Paul as he grieves at his father's gravestone and realizes that his father's body is about to be used in a diabolical experiment. So we follow Paul throughout the creation of Frankenstein's monster as he decides what Dr. Frankenstein is doing is completely wrong, and he's going to go and make things right. So it's a kind of a new spin on the traditional Frankenstein story, but I think people are really going to love it. The 4 issues are out now, but the hardcover is coming out next month.
Oh, well, Michael, it's great talking with you again. And I look forward to when we get to talk again, because you're a golden ray of sunshine in this world. It's amazing how dark your comics get when you are so, full of life. Yeah. Yet you write about so many dead people.
I think of it like a cleanse, Like, I get all of the demons out on the paper so I don't have to get them out in real life. It's like Junji Ito. If you ever see that guy, he is the most joyous, jovial dude ever, and he has the darkest comics ever.
There you go. Well, thank you once again, Michael. I look forward to Exquisite Corpses and the hardcover of Frankenstein. Definitely want to pick that up. And I'll always keep looking out for your stuff, man. It's always great stuff.
Thanks very much, brother.